is an article that came out on Axios, and this is pretty much spelling out the death of rural America and how these counties have fell in population between 2010 and 2017. This is an article that came out on June 20th, 2018, and I'll leave the link to this article in the description box. Why rural counties are dying in America. So as you can see on this map, it has dramatically dropped. Okay, and this is according to the U.S. Census data. Rural counties, particularly in the Midwest and Northeast of the U.S., are losing people due to higher death rates than birth rates, and more people moving away than moving in. The outlook, the 2020 census, is likely to show the extent of this drastic trend, barring a significant reversal in the next few years. Richard Fry of the Pew Research Center tells Axios the share of the population living in rural counties will be less than it was in 2010. Rural clout in Congress and the Electoral College will be diminished. By the numbers, overall, non-metro areas increased in populations between 2000 and 2015. But a majority of rural counties saw their population dwindle, including 54% of rural counties in the Northeast and 68% of those in the Midwest, according to a study by Pew Research. Yes, but not all rural communities are dying. For example, Williams County and McKenzie County in North Dakota saw the largest population increase between 2010 and 2017 due to jobs created by the introduction of fracking. Yeah, an increase for a reason that's really not good. Here's why most rural areas are losing population: the exodus of jobs and youth. 73% of rural counties had more people move out than move in, says Fry. And the trend was again most notable in the Northeast and Midwest. Of the 19,069 rural counties Pew Research studied, almost 1,197 have fewer people employed today than they did in 2000. But yes, not all non-metropolitan areas are losing all of their young people. Places that have somehow brought some high-tech industries to their boundaries have not done as poorly. William Fry and the Brookings Institute tells Axios. With technology allowing us to be more connected than ever, many economists and demographers thought there would be a rural rival, but that hasn't happened. One popular theory, according to Fry, focuses on the important advantage of in-person networking. Okay, birth rates versus death rates. It's long been the case that young people tend to move out of more rural areas at a higher rate than people move in. A newer trend is that there are more people dying in many rural areas than being born. Aging community, the percentage of rural citizens who are 65 plus is 4% higher than the national average, Fry said, which means these areas have fewer people of childbearing age. So they're pretty much saying, most of these areas that are dying and dwindling tend to have a higher senior citizen population there. Death rates. While death rates in metro areas for 18 to 64-year-olds have been declining, these working age deaths have been on the rise in more rural areas, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Birth rates. It's not just that there's fewer people of childbearing age. People across the U.S. are having fewer children, a trend that affects rural counties too. Rural communities are no longer able to match the rate of migration with natural population increase. Well, the rural areas are the ones that are hit very badly by the opioid plague. And that probably has a lot to do with it too. Immigrants and minorities. Rural areas are overwhelmingly white. Only 2.3 of the population in rural communities is foreign born, compared to nearly 15% in urban counties, according to census data. Because of this, they continue to struggle to attract immigrants and minorities who tend to move to urban areas. One key trend: minorities and immigrants have already started moving out to suburban areas as immigrants and non-whites become an increasingly large percentage of the U.S. population. They could eventually move to rural areas as well. Well, they're not going to move there if the job opportunities are not there. People are not going to go in those areas, even if you're living away from everybody, which is really not a good idea in this kind of climate, because you're out there in those areas, you're isolated, there's a lot of drug use going on, no job growth. It's, those areas might have been good back in the day, but in today's climate, it may not be so good to be in those areas, especially if you are not making the income that you can potentially make. Or if you're not really that far from places of business, then it's okay to live there. What to watch? 2016 was a demographic anomaly, according to Fry, who says the rural areas that voted for Trump are not likely to have as much impact on future elections. Instead, it will be demographic subgroups like racial minorities and women who will be more likely to sway things. There were signs of a reversal of rural population losses last year, Fry said, but 1 year does not make a trend. So we don't know whether this is really a reversal or whether just a blip. Some states are making efforts to increase the populations of rural areas. Vermont, a mostly rural state, has started a program to pay people with jobs elsewhere to live in the state and work remotely. So there you go. According to this, there are many factors, but rural America is dying. Ladies and gentlemen, please tell me what you think. Please leave your comment and subscribe. And this map is showing you each area where population have dropped in rural areas. Like this is the Northeast. Okay, so it's minus 308,000 drop in the population. Okay, and almost 1 million drop in the South rural areas. The Midwest, 607,000 drop in the population among 700 counties, and the West, it's 65,000 drop in the population. So America is never going to be the same population-wise. It really isn't. You have people growing, people dying out. this country is never, ever going back to the way it was, y'all. And this is the truth. It is never going to be the same in this country ever again. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I will see you in the next video. Peace, family.